Good afternoon, world. It is 3 minutes after noon. Excuse our tardiness, please. We try not to make a habit of it. Your fault. I got nothing to say. Here we are in Waxahachie, Texas, deep in the heart of the Lone Star State. Today is the 11th episode. Are you ready now?
I'm ready.
11th
Sorry, people.
episode of Grit and Good News. The 11th of June, the 149th episode of Grit and Good News. And we're broadcasting from our palatial studio in downtown Waxahachie in the shadows of the historic Ellis County Courthouse. And I am your co-host, Jeff Lynch. At the board, capably as always, our man Sam Brooks. And to my right, in pink, proving that real men can wear pink.
I'm telling you.
And I love pink on myself also. Scott Brooks.
Thank you, bud. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. It's Thursday, and you know that we do this show on Tuesdays and Thursdays from noon to 1 o'clock here in Central Standard Time. As Jeff just said, deep in the heart of Texas. Hey, Terry, thanks for being here, bud. For those of you that never heard of Waxahachie and certainly can't say it, we are 30 minutes due south of downtown Dallas, and some might consider that a bedroom community or part of the sprawl of a metroplex, but we're not. We're our own distinct community of about 50,000, and it's growing fast. So we are proud Waxahachieans. I was born and raised in Dallas. Sammy was born in Cleveland, but raised in Texas, and Jeff was born in Fort Worth.
Corpus Christi.
Corpus Christi. You lived in Fort Worth.
We just
but
had
he was raised in Minnesota. I know, we just had that discussion.
Well, no, we just had the feast in our church of the Feast of Corpus Christi,
Oh, did you?
the body of Christ.
As usual, we talk about a lot of different things, and we are normally never short on words. We certainly aren't going to be today because there's so much going on in this world, and particularly in this state, and we're going to try to cover a lot of it today. So, as usual, feel free to weigh in online. You can watch us across all the major, I almost said major sports networks, major platforms, social media platforms. So. Most people are watching us on YouTube and Facebook, both live and later on, because you can watch any show you want to later. So as usual, we get started with our a number of episode, which is 149. We take the last two digits of that, 49, and say, Sammy, go find I have to say this every week now, notable. Because Sammy comes up with, some goober that played 800 years ago. We never heard of him. We need notable players that wore number 49 across the four major American sports.
Well, do you know any
Yeah, I do.
in NFL?
I do.
Ooh.
But I'm not going to steal your
Okay.
thunder. So anyway, no, I don't. I don't.
But
But I didn't look it up either.
Neither
49. 49 is a weird number.
Bobby Mitchell,
I don't know who that is.
Who
do he play
first
for?
African American for the Redskins.
Okay.
We got Dennis Smith, Broncos safety. Tony Richardson for the Chiefs, and William Judson. You don't know William Judson?
I don't know, Bill.
One of the best cornerbacks ever.
Who do you play for?
The Dolphins.
What made him good?
He is a lockdown zone coverage defender.
Now you're making things up.
Yeah, well, he's making it up when he started.
Yeah.
Well, just stay with the they're nobodies, and so I'm not going to give them to you. Or here they are.
No,
All
you
right.
got to have something.
Yeah, we gotta have something. MLB, ready?
All right, wait, 49 MLB. That's a pitcher's number. I don't know.
Ron Guidry.
Oh yeah, Guidry.
Guidry for the Yankees. We got Hoyt Wilhelm.
Yeah.
Long timer.
We got Tim Wakefield.
Oh yeah, knuckleballer. Just died not long ago.
Jake Arrieta for the Cubs, and Teddy Higuera.
Okay, we'll take your word for it, Sammy.
I butchered that.
Sammy and his name pronunciation. All right, those are better. What about what basketball?
Thank God your
No.
last name is Brooks. Does anybody ever get that wrong?
What?
Well, no. Oh, saying it, no. Spelling it.
People say, is there an E on it?
Yeah.
No,
E.
there's not an E on it.
All right, NHL. I'm not doing NBA. There's nobody in the NBA.
That's not true.
Name
in all
one
the years,
person.
no, in all the years of the NBA, there's got to be somebody that was number 49. But anyway, I'll give it to you that you didn't find any in your feeble search.
Okay.
Well, your hockey search ought to be short too.
Hockey number 49.
Yeah.
Quinn Hughes.
Okay, we're done with that. Brian Savage for the Canadians.
And that is the only significant player.
Joe Janua for the Bruins. Ivan Barshalev for the Blues. Victor Rask and Michael Layton.
Like I
That's
said,
it.
nobody. And as my research says, uh, that is never a number given to a star. It's only for role players. And
Unless the
thank you for those
star
those
requested it, right?
right. Thank you for those 4 role
Because
players.
you know what, if we didn't know any better, you would say the same you would say the same thing about a number 68, right?
Yeah.
You'd say nobody they give that to role players, but who wore 68? Nay. Obi wears what is
Ovechkin,
8? He wears 8.
8.
Was it
Jaromir
Ovechkin?
Jagr. Would you
Yeah,
say in any sport 66 if they gave it
77.
if your number was 66 that's a number you get assigned,
and
right?
I
And
think
then Mario Lemieux wore it.
the Mario 66 prompted him to go with the 60. Oh no. What a great reason to pick 68. He's Czechoslovakian, and that's when the tanks came rolling in
In
from
1968.
7
Yeah.
Eastern European communist countries to take over Prague. And you know what they did? We're good. You bring your tanks. We're not fighting. They
Funny.
waited them out. It was beautiful.
If I was any player, well, I wouldn't say a player of any sport. I don't think I would say it that way. If I was playing hockey and I was given my choice of number and I was a star, it would either be number 14 because that's my favorite number, or 79 because that's when I graduated high school.
But the Stars really like the single digit numbers. The D like them
Well, but
2
Jamie
through.
Benn's 14,
I wouldn't go above 49.
Jamie Benn was
and
nobody when
Rantanen
he came into the league.
is 96.
In later years, we're getting the big numbers.
Yeah.
To a large degree, almost every team that's been around any amount of time, all the single digit numbers are retired by that
Yeah,
team,
but
or most of
you
them.
look at people like Sidney Crosby, number 87. You look at there have been 77s, there have been 88s, and normally what I'm finding is
99s.
the 90 and 91. Well, there's only 199, but 91. Uh,
Sagan.
so anyway, there you have it. NBA Finals. Let me get this started, and we're gonna have to keep our mind on the time we talk about this because what happened last night was an abomination. Do you know what that is, Sammy?
An abomination? Yeah, it's like what happened Falcons versus
True.
Patriots, Warriors versus Cavs.
But when you were up, how much what was the
It
most
was
they
at
were up?
29.
In the first half. At halftime, it was still
I
close
think it
to
was
that.
76 to 49 at halftime.
Yeah. All right. So 76 to 49, 28 points. I've often said, and I believe this, although I believe the coach of the Spurs is a great coach and an up and comer. You cannot lose a game when you are up 28 to 3 in football or are up by 29 in a basketball. You cannot lose the game. And in a video, I didn't bring it or schedule it to be shown. Charles Barkley, after the game last night on the court with the NBA, the TNT or whatever it is, is it TNT
Yeah,
now? Or
TNT.
I thought it went to ESPN, but
Mm-mm.
he said the Spurs are the dumbest, stupidest basketball team on the planet. He said because they took 8 he said in the second half last night, which I could not watch it because I was afraid that was gonna happen, so I was back and forth. But and Sonia, we were watching something else, but, he said the Spurs at one point in the second half, he said, because a team that loses, whether it's 28 to 3 or this one, the team that had the lead and ultimately loses is the team that helped the other team a lot. And he said the Spurs shot 8 3-pointers in a row in the second half and missed most of them. And they just put the ball right back into
And they got the big man, and they're not driving the paint with them, and they're not alley ooping. I turned it on reluctantly. I said, "Okay, I'll watch some of this." And I turned it on, and I don't know exactly the time frame, but I know this: when I turned it on, I saw about 4 possessions each way, and nobody scored the whole way. And then finally, the um, the Knicks got one, and they said that puts it the lead to 13 that was once 29.
yeah.
And I watched it from then on in, and the Spurs had their chance at the end, and they got up by 1, and then was it was it Brunson that drove?
Anunoby is the one who tipped in the last shot.
Yeah, but was it Brunson that
Brunson
drove?
shot the 3.
And the thing about Brunson is not, I mean, putting aside that he's a great basketball player, he really is a great basketball player and doesn't mind mixing it up. He's one of these, he's a Magic Johnson point guard that's very small
Mhm.
comparatively. The challenge I have with Brunson is watching him fall down on every single play. He's got
Right.
this SGA and the Steph Curry and all the rest of them. He just falls down all the time, and I mean, I don't know why. Just
Well,
I'm gonna give you
I think it's a height. I mean, not all height, but he knows he's shorter, so he's got to
right.
find a way to
he's
get.
6'2", so
Which to the NBA is very.
yeah. But you look at when Sammy's half stepbrother is Ross is 6'2", and I mean to us, I mean, he's pretty tall.
Yeah.
And so when you watch Jalen Brunson on TV and comparatively he's short, but he's still tall. And I mean, he's not a 6'7", 6'8", or 6'9", whatever Magic was. But the idea that Brunson just takes over the game and
Okay,
remarkable.
go with me on this. I want you both to give me this answer. First of all, what's the name of the Knicks coach?
The Knicks coach is Mike
Brown.
Brown.
Yeah.
Mike Brown. Give me the over under on what that big boy weighs.
Mike Brown?
He probably weighs a good 240.
Yeah, if that.
I saw a picture of him.
No,
Maybe it
he's
was because
not
he
the.
was sitting down. He looked absolutely ginormous to
No,
me.
he's not.
No.
Okay.
He's coached
All
a
right.
number of
All right.
teams.
Then
Yeah.
so he was making a complaint about game 3 about the fact that the free throws shot by the two teams were 24 by the Spurs and 8 by the Knicks. He goes, something is wrong.
Yeah.
Something is wrong.
Yeah, the refs have been interesting for the
Yeah.
finals. They haven't done the best job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the refs last night's game, just like the other games for me, can be. So I don't mind when you called me Sammy. I'd switched it over a while back, and actually Sonia and I were watching one of our favorite shows, The Floor, which is a
Hmm.
fun show to learn things.
I turned it on just to see that show end. I love
It's
that
fun.
show.
It's a lot of fun. You can learn a lot of stuff there. But it's because there's so much beating on each other. I mean, they're holding each other. Wimby is, he can't go to the movie because he can't hold the seat down. He's that skinny. But he gets held and he gets pounded and they're pounding. He did it again to Brunson last night. He pushed his head down, remember?
Well, there was there was almost 2 flagrants on Wemby.
Was there?
Committed on Wemby from the Knicks.
Well,
So it's very
yeah,
physical.
the one where that little guard
Grabbed
under
his
the
leg.
basket hit him in the, you know what, looked
Mhm.
like?
He grabbed his leg.
Well,
And like,
that should have been a flagrant. They didn't call it a
mm,
flagrant. Um,
He is pretty nimble for a big guy too.
yeah, oh, he's awesome. He's an amazing player, and I think he's got a great attitude. And here's what I think. Not that you asked, but you guys said Knicks in 6. No,
I think either Knicks in 6 or 7.
You
Or
said
no,
okay,
I said Spurs.
okay,
Spurs in
Spurs.
6 or
and
7.
I think you went
I
with
blindly
Spurs,
followed along.
and I went Knicks in 6. I think it's going to be, uh, at a minimum, it's going to go 6. I think it has the potential to go 7. I think the Knicks are a great basketball team, but the Spurs are a very good basketball team. And I'm going to tell you, they said it last night. I agree with them. That Harper, what a player. What a play. And his daddy was getting a little cocky in the bleachers.
Yeah.
Did you see him or in
Yeah.
the stands? He was talking some trash. And
Yeah.
Is that the Harper that we used
that's
to
the
have?
number 2.
No, it was his dad, our
Oh,
old
no,
Harper.
yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
we had
No, we had
Ron Harper.
Ron Harper. Yeah.
Derek Harper played for the
Okay.
Lakers, and I
All
can't
right.
remember who
Yeah.
else.
All right. That's enough hoops. We got a lot.
NHL Finals tonight. Is it tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah, tonight.
Should be. Yeah.
It's either tonight
Yeah,
or tomorrow night.
tonight.
It's tied 2-2.
Back to Carolina.
So both have one game at each other's place. So we will see. It's turning out to be a great series.
Knicks are up 3-1, by the way. Just put that
Huh?
out there. We didn't say that with the
Oh, the Knicks
Knicks
are
are
up
up
3-1.
3-1.
Yeah, and they go back to San Antonio for Saturday night.
Yeah.
Why
Sonia
am
and
I
are
wearing this Vegas hat?
because you think Vegas is going to win, but I hate to disappoint you.
You know, it brings back a great memory of going to see a game in the Vegas inaugural season, and they were up 10 games to nothing to start the season. And the Stars came in and beat them 3-0. And I went with Hockey Jeff and his wife and another couple and my wife. We had a huge time. I'm at the airport. I'm not a slots guy. I thought I'll play a little slots here waiting for this plane. Then I hit like $75. And I took my little token, I cashed it in. I went right to the souvenir shop in the airport and bought this hat.
Nice.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
think my prediction, hockey, is that Carolina will win the series. Carolina, Jordan Stahl that shot the other night, did you see it,
I
Sammy?
didn't see it, no,
Oh
but
my God, he was falling down
yeah, I saw a picture.
and he backhanded the puck
Yeah.
as he was falling down.
Yeah.
It is one of the best shots I've ever seen, ever. Because that bounce, the puck was kind of bouncing too, and it was,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway. So there you have it. Rangers playing better baseball. They're still not at 500. They haven't been at 500 since May 1st, I believe.
They're still one under.
They're one under. So today they play today at 1 o'clock. So we'll see. They're in Kansas City. College World Series starts tomorrow. So if you wonder where I am, if we're not going to be playing golf, then I'll be in front of a TV, particularly Saturday afternoon. Bama plays Oklahoma. So for you Sooners fans, bite me. Anyway,
As if.
not
Boo.
really.
As if.
So there you have it. All right. Tarnation. We're going to get started with Tarnations, and we've got a lot to cover today. But let me just start with this crazy story out of New York. Now, I lived in the state of New York for almost 10 years, and I actually love where I lived in Buffalo. Buffalo, people will say, when you say, "Oh, I used to live in Buffalo, New York," people associate New York City with New York or New York with New York City. They don't believe no, it's not that they don't believe they don't remember that there's just to the west of New York City is the rest of a very big state, and Buffalo is
And
six and a
tons
half,
to the north.
yeah, 7 or 8 hours from the Buffalo's on the other side on the western part. It's 7 or 8 hours by car to New York City. Uh, but what New York City does, or what Albany does, which is the state capital, is like what Austin does to the rest of the state, Albany does to the rest of the state of New York. So there is a bill in New York. Now, I hope all y'all are sitting down.
I
Here's
could not believe this when I heard this in show prep.
the headline is a bill replace in the legislature, a bill replacing the word mother and the word father with gender neutral terms passes in New York and heads to the governor's desk. Now, the governor of New York is about as dumb as a box of rocks, and she's as woke as they get. So I'm assuming it's going to pass. But here's what the law says under the new bill targeting state child custody and parental laws. Mother, the name of the label mother becomes, quote, gestating parent, and the label father becomes non-gestating parent, and paternity, the word paternity becomes parentage. So I could tell you more, but you don't have to know more to know how crazy this is. So two of us in this room are fathers. I'm Sammy's father, and he either calls me dad, pops, or father, rarely father. Uh, And so that's what I want to be called. The minute he calls me a non-gestating parent is the minute I knock him into next week and then slap him again for being early. Uh, I can't believe that a state, that anybody would even come up with that. How do you come up with that
Why
stuff?
would you care? Why would you even want to do that? What would inspire
That's
that?
what I mean. What
Uh,
what says? Oh, I got an idea. Let's for the history of this world. And in other countries, they have their word for mother and father. But in America, just like in those countries, they've had those labels forever. So who sits down and says, let's change that from mother or mom to gestating parent. So what I don't know how they're going to enforce that, and what are they going to what are they going to do to enforce it? Going to put me in jail? Not me, but somebody in jail, or fine somebody, give them a ticket if you don't refer to your mother as mom. Well, yeah,
yeah.
if you don't refer to her as gestating parent,
And time out. What about all the adoptive parents
yeah,
that did not gestate that kid?
yeah,
You are not the gestating parent of
I
that
don't think
kid.
gestating. I think gestating is defines a woman. It is if you're a woman, then you
When
gestate. Your natural
you
goal.
give birth.
Yeah, you have the capacity to give birth. A man does not have the capacity to give birth, despite what we hear from the morons out there that say they do. So it's not so much that uh, an adoptive mother is still a gestating parent because she has the body to gestate. But
Mm.
if there was ever a tarnation, it's that parents in New York are now going to be called gestating parent, non-gestating parent. Bet you can't beat that one. We're
Only in
going
New
to
York.
try. Cardi B, Sammy, did I send you a video on Cardi B? Or I don't think I did. Let me just read Cardi B. Now, Cardi B, I wouldn't know Cardi B from a hole in the wall, but I do know that Cardi B just sang the national anthem at something that was on TV. So it's one of the series going on,
She's
uh,
a rapper. I
and
know that.
and I just saw her do something else on TV. So oddly enough, I I didn't know who she was, and then two things come on night after night, back to back, and it's her singing. Um, call her successful. I don't really care who she is or what she does, but Cardi B's reaction to the Carmelo Anthony verdict draws millions of views of fierce racism, and we're going to talk about uh, the Anthony trial here in just a few minutes, a little bit more in substance than we normally would. Terry, I just noticed says 6 also. Who do you got, Terry? Knicks or Spurs? I have a feeling I know which. But Cardi B posted on X, wow. This is just after yesterday afternoon, after the verdict. Wow. Just freaking wow. Disgusting. This is not justice. This is trying to make an example. All right. And then I thought I would share with you, if they have them here, some of the responses that people made to her. There's not a lot of them, but let's see. This one says, this is a guy. Oh, Tommy Lahren, the female that's on television often, she responded by saying, yes, the example is don't stab somebody in the chest. Thanks for playing. Then somebody said, Van Swall, a user with more than 500,000 followers, replied, I know. It's like, damn, black people can't stab any white people to death anymore and not go to prison just because they're black. Devastating. Zeke Arkham, a former New York Police
Is
Department
that a
officer,
white guy being
I don't know.
satirical?
I don't probably, but I don't know.
Okay.
A New York police officer and current host of Reasonable Suspicion podcast replied, "Quote: Trying to make an example? Yes, Cardi. Stabbing people is bad. We should make stabbing people as unattractive as possible. Might cause people to think before they stab someone. Thanks. I think so. Cardi B. I swear, the minute I start the just when I start believing that politicians and entertainers can't be any dumber, along comes Cardi B. And as you'll see in just a minute, along comes our favorite, soon to be no longer politician at the end of the year, Jazzy.
Yeah.
What a Crockett. Um, so that's what Cardi had to say about
Well,
what's his name?
and
About
I've
the
said this a dozen times on this show. Opinions of celebrities mean nothing to me. And maybe the rest of the world that ever watches this will go, "Whoa,
well,
who-
they do to a lot of
we
people.
really don't care about your opinion." Well, you
Yeah,
know what? I You must care enough to tune in because I
yeah.
know you don't tune in just for him, right?
Yeah, so there you have that. Another Tarnation here story out of
Terry says Spurs.
boy Terry. I got you, brother. Here's another story out of, let me see, I don't know where these folks live. YouTuber Jesse Ridgway and his wife revealed this week they terminated a pregnancy abortion after learning their unborn child had Down syndrome, sharing an emotional account of what they described as one of the most difficult decisions of their lives. Ridgway announced the diagnosis and their decision in a Wednesday post on X, saying they wrestled with the choice after doctors informed them that their baby was likely to be born with a genetic condition. So I say it's a tarnation because my view of life through these lenses, these eyes, is horrified at that notion. But that doesn't mean that it's horrific per se. It just means that I feel like it's a horrific decision because I believe that abortion is wrong and that it's killing an otherwise breathing, living human being. Now, if the mother, as we've often heard, if the mother's health is at risk, if that mother to be was close to dying because of the pregnancy or because of the child, and the child was likely going to die, then obviously it's time for that to end. But some of the most precious people on this planet, and we've had one work for us at the Sun, the most precious, the happiest, the most jovial and joyful, kindest, most loving people on the planet are Down syndrome people.
There's an innocence of a child about them, which is beautiful.
It is. I remember a big, big, big guy named Ralphie May, a comedian. He since died at a young age because of his health and his weight. But he probably weighed 600 or 700 pounds. Uh, and he was crude and rude and he wasn't funny. I didn't like him. But he used to have a little part of his skit that was making fun of Down syndrome kids. And he would imitate them at being very happy, excited, overjoyed at having a Scooby-Doo lunchbox. Remember back in the day when lunchboxes
Sure.
were all that? And he would make fun of them. And I thought, man, do you ever miss the whole point? The whole point is that life is so simple. And so we should find the joy in the simple things. And Down syndrome boys and girls, men and women, are usually that way. And I just I've got friends that have Down syndrome uh, children, and it's a task. It's a lifelong task. And Down syndrome children don't live to be, most don't live to be well into adulthood, but some do. And so I'm not suggesting that it's, no big deal, but I am suggesting that every time I've been around, I've coached basketball teams of young kids, Special Olympics. I've coached adult Special Olympics basketball. And I've never had as much fun. And
Yeah.
the adults would get the adult basketball teams. I'll never forget one time I did it in Georgia when I was working over there at a newspaper, and one of our best players, he had to come his when we were practicing, not with our uniforms on, but when he practiced, he always had on the white that people call them white beaters. I don't like that, but white tank top shirts, blue jean shorts. I guess they call them jorts, and which was funny enough. But he always had to have his keys attached to his belt loop, and he had a bunch of keys. I can't remember his name because it's been so long ago, but you knew he was in the house in the gym because you could hear him rattling over there. And if somebody on his team made a shot or took a shot, they didn't make it or did something, he was all over them. And I used to have to say to him, I can say his name is Joe. Joe, you can't be getting on your teammates like that. And
Rita
they loved
always
each other.
talks about how much she loved the day when we lived close to downtown. I had season tickets. She didn't go that night, and it was lunchbox day,
Oh yeah,
and I come bounding up the stairs, and she's at the door waiting for me, and I've got my Victory E Green, that little green mascot of the Stars lunchbox, with the biggest smile on my face. She just loved the
yeah.
innocence of a child there.
I think it's sad when it's sad to see, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
that's what I think of that Tarnation. So there you have it. Let's talk about well, let me just get through, make sure there's something else here. Got that, got that. Jasmine Crockett. All right, I think that's it for our Tarnations. Did you guys have any?
If we got time, I'll talk more about the Stars, but let's dig
Okay.
into
So a lot of podcasts, or at least television shows that you watch that are talking heads, start out with a monologue, and we've kicked around the idea of having a monologue, and I think at some point in the near future we will do that. It will be much better than us just reading something here, but uh, so we're gonna either do it from memory or from other means by which we can just read it to you and not have to constantly look down at a page. But I want to share this with you, and then we're going to launch into this discussion about Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf and what's happened since the trial, what's happening now, and what is likely to happen in the future. But let me share this with you. Justice is supposed to be blind, but it should never be morally blind. Every defendant in America deserves a fair trial. Carmelo Anthony deserved the presumption of innocence, a competent defense, an impartial jury, and the full protection of the Constitution. No one who believes in justice should want a verdict driven by public pressure, racial emotion, or political theater. But after hearing the evidence, a Collin County jury found him guilty of murder in the death of Austin Metcalf. That verdict does not bring Austin back. It does not erase his family's grief, but it does affirm something that this country desperately needs to remember. Facts still matter. Austin Metcalf was a 17-year-old young man at a high school track meet. He was not armed. He was not looking for a fight. He had a life, a family, teammates, and a future. Then, in one terrible moment, he was gone. This case was never about slogans, fundraising campaigns, or turning the accused into a symbol. It was about a young man who died because another young man brought a knife into a confrontation and used it. Self-defense is a sacred right, especially in Texas, but it is not a magic phrase that turns aggression into innocence. Fear must be reasonable and force must be proportional. Deadly force must be justified by a deadly threat. The jury heard the evidence and rejected the excuse. No decent person should celebrate the conviction of a teenager. Two families have been shattered, but tragedy does not erase responsibility, and compassion cannot become lawlessness. Justice required a conviction, and now justice requires a sentence that reflects the gravity of the life that was taken. What say you guys?
All right, go ahead, Sam. I got a lot of ways to go with it.
yeah, you can go. I don't know.
Well, let's start with this whole thing about the jury, okay, and about there were no blacks on it. There were no blacks on it, but there were other minorities. Number one. Number two, one of the final three blacks were eliminated by the prosecutor's choice because they were educators. That was his choice. But there was an eligible black lady who said, and I'm paraphrasing it very closely, she couldn't be on the jury because she just could not convict a brother. Okay. Now, you know what you did when you kicked yourself off the jury there? You would have been the one, if that was your feeling, you could have been the one person that held out and turned that into a hung jury, not a conviction. Your selfishness or laziness or not putting, I don't know what it was, but number one, that's a bad attitude. Number two, you, you cost that conviction right there.
Well, let me throw it back at you. Let me
Okay.
play devil's advocate. We want people. I have been asked to sit on, not asked, but required to go to jury,
Right.
whatever they call that.
Selection
Yeah,
process. Yeah.
and I'm always kicked off because of what I do for a living,
Right.
and so I've never had to say that yes I can or no I can't. But if I did, I would be compelled, obviously, to tell the truth about how I feel. Now, that said, from that angle, I say I commend the woman for saying I can't, in the name of fairness, in the name of equality, in the name of whatever you want to call it, decency, ethics, I
Right.
can't, because I can tell you right now that I'm already at the place, ostensibly at the place where no matter what I hear, Carmelo Anthony is innocent, or I'm not going to convict him. So, on one hand, she should be commended for being truthful. On the other hand, I often have found it when people will talk about how truthful they are, which is always good. But if the truth that you're admitting is really, really, really bad, then you aren't to be commended for what you did, right?
Right.
So if a preacher gets up and said, I like Robert. Remember we were talking about Robert Morse not long ago? He had to go to prison because of what he did years ago. The guy at Gateway. He didn't tell the truth for a long, long time. So he's not the best example. But let's just say any old preacher who says, I had an affair outside my marriage, uh, he is to be commended if he did it in a timely manner, coming forth and admitting it. He is to be punished for in whatever ways for doing it. So this woman is to be, in my opinion, commended for telling the truth. She's to be punished, not punished. She's
Mm,
to be ridiculed for not having the capacity as a human being to go into a trial with an open mind.
right.
So that's the lazy part of it. And so for me, if Nick Saban, if I sat on a jury and Nick Saban was the defendant, am I going to say to a judge or prosecutors or defense attorneys when they ask me, do you think you can give a fair trial, a fair assessment of this? I have to think twice. I'm going to admit, at the risk of being ridiculed, I have to think twice about whether or not I can get beyond my fondness for Coach Saban to say, well, he did wrong, so he's got to pay the
Right.
price.
But if you continue this chain, that's also, so much of what we're hearing, Cardi B, all these people with the out,
Yeah.
whatever,
Outburst. Yeah. Response.
whatever, are you making it sound? You're basically saying because of the blackness, this should not have been a conviction. Are you trying to say that now forever a black man can never be convicted of murder?
Yeah.
And are you forgetting how many black men have been convicted of murder? And you're forgetting how many white people in every other nationality have been? And it's not a factor in the decision. And now it's become the holy grail.
Yeah, Sammy, we can look at this later if y'all can remind me, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say more than 80%, if not 90% of the deaths of black men or black people, but let's just say black men, are committed by other black men.
Right.
Okay. So this,
So they're all off the hook in that argument.
well, yeah. So I don't, we get caught up in this racial nonsense. And, I heard one lady screaming at the courthouse the other day. She was an attorney of all things, saying, "This is not a courthouse. This is a slaughterhouse. This is a racist place. This is well, who got slaughtered here? I don't really, going to prison for something you did, a murder, is slaughter. Well, that we've become so backwards, it's not even funny. Sammy, cue up Jasmine Crockett. There are so many things out there now that people are saying about this. I just give you an example of Cardi B. I'm going to give you a couple of more examples here. This is a little more than 2 minutes. I'm going to let it play the whole time. And just as a heads up to you guys, we may need to skip day in history today. But this is Jasmine Crockett, who we all know is the still Congresswoman representative for District
34.
34, which is at Cedar Hill, parts of the Metroplex, close to us, but
And all the way up to Love Field.
and she's not our representative. But she's a disaster, and she's no longer going to be in politics because of the gerrymandering process and all that sort of thing. And she shouldn't be anyway. And this is a perfect example of why. But she's still a congresswoman until December 31st. In Congress yesterday, this is what she had to say, and I just want you to. I want you to. I mean, Jasmine Crockett is like here nails on the chalkboard in amplified version. So let's try to put the voice aside. Listen to what she says and the reasoning behind what she says or what she feels, because she represents millions of people out there. Millions. This is what she had to say yesterday.
But the vast majority of them are white men. White men are lecturing people of color because the vast majority, actually, any semblance of diversity comes from this side of the aisle. You want to tell people of color who is fighting for who? People of color do not feel comfortable or welcomed within your party. That's why you have to parade someone who has the name Dr. King attached to them so that people can be confused, because I have been reading the comments online and people are like, who is this Dr. King? Because you want them to believe that somehow she espouses who Dr. King was, yet you've yet to have MLK the third come in here. You've yet to have Dr. Bernice King, the ones that were actually raised by Dr. King, the ones that actually probably understand the teachings of Dr. King. But the vast majority of them are white men. White men.
It's not the whole thing. Did you change it or anything? Okay. She goes on to say, the Facebook version or whatever I sent you was the longer one. Well, what you didn't hear there is that she continues to scold the right side of that hearing, which is the conservative, as being the reason for black people feeling the way they do. She
What was the
mentioned
hearing all about?
it was about well, that's a good point. I don't really know what the hearing. Oh, it was about race. At the table there, the witnesses included Alveda King. Alveda King is the niece of
Is
Martin
this a
Luther.
congressional hearing?
Yeah,
Why do we need a congressional hearing about race?
I don't. Don't pin me down on that. It's not. That
Yikes.
wasn't the point. The point is that whatever they'll go off on something that's not related to the
Right.
topic.
Hello.
But she was in a very sarcastic way hammering and ridiculing and degrading, demeaning, belittling, whatever you want to call it, Alveda King, who is Martin Luther King's niece. At the end of that, and she's 70 something years old. At the end of that, Alveda King said, "I'm going to be careful with what I say here, but I am a king. I was close to Martin Luther King, and I I I believe that what you're saying essentially to Jasmine Crockett is wrong, but she said, "I love you anyway," and that's how it ended. But if you get a chance, go to there's a 2 minute and 50 something second version where you can hear all of what Jasmine Crockett had to say. It's pathetic at best. It's it's abhorrent at worst. It is just awful what this woman had to say, and the sooner we can get Crockett out of sight, out of mind is the better. And again, we're just down the road from you, Jazzy. If you want to come in here and have that kind of conversation in a respectful way, to the extent that we can keep it that way, then we welcome you here because what you said is uh, so deeply wrong that Black people are somehow fearful or somehow uh, always there's racism alive and well towards Black people. It's just
Yeah.
ridiculous.
And Sam, if she ever came here, we'd have to turn the microphone microphone volumes down.
Mm,
Let's go a little different direction towards impact statements and how it affected the
yeah.
family. And I want to make another thing after that.
All
But
right. I'm gonna.
go ahead.
I'll keep in mind we have 2 more videos, and I want them to come in what will better fit or best fit your. You can go ahead and say what you say now, but Sammy,
Okay,
cue up that other video.
the father in his statement said people think grief is sadness, it's not, it's rage. But he goes on to to say at one point Jeff Metcalf asked Anthony to look at him as he spoke. Anthony did not appear to look up. You can't even look me in the eye right now, but you can stab my effing son in the heart. And then he apologized to the judge. And then the twin brother gets up. He begins by asking Anthony to look at him, saying he wanted a little respect, but that he understood if Anthony could not do so. Anthony did not look up.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, here's a kid. There are a couple of things I want to debunk before I get to what I was going to say in these videos. Is other two. We've heard people say that the amount of money raised in these, not GoFundMe, it's called something different, but uh, was over $600,000 that the the Anthony family received.
And you know where it went.
Yeah, they moved, they bought a new house, blah 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 blah, and that as a result they ended up having to have a public defender represent Karmelo Anthony. That is not true. He had a personally hired attorney. That attorney, that's they can claim that they weren't represented well. Uh, Maybe they weren't, but that ends up being they're the ones who chose the attorney. And when you look at that and you say, well, whose fault is that? You can make your own decision. That attorney did not have a closing statement, and they only called one witness. So I believe even some attorneys in America can look at a case and say, what do I do here? Well, I mean, unless I'm going to bastardize my own abilities
He
here,
had no case.
what am I going to do? There was none of what they're saying self-defense. There was no self-defense argument here. Austin Metcalf was unarmed. I just read for you what the law says, and that is a few minutes ago that for there to be deadly retaliation with respect to self-defense, it means you have to legitimately fear that your life is in danger. And an unarmed kid in a public setting who says, I don't want to fight you. That's what Metcalf said to Anthony. I don't want to fight you. I want you to leave this tent. 15 times he was asked to leave that tent. Eventually, Metcalf shoved uh, Carmelo Anthony back, and that's when Carmelo Anthony took out a 4-inch blade knife and a little pocket. It's not little because it killed somebody. I guess you could kill somebody with, you know, I guess if you let me, I could kill somebody
Yeah.
with a shot to the neck with something very small. But he stabbed him in the heart, and that
One
was it.
stab.
And that was it. So there was no self-defense, deadly, felt like I was in danger nonsense is a bunch of BS. Even Anthony himself, as he was trying to get away, said, "I'm not alleged to have done this to a cop." He said it to a cop. I did do it. So there was little in a 17-year-old. Maybe we shouldn't expect that. Although at 17 years old, I hope those of us in this room and you watching would have had more sense than to believe that you could murder somebody in cold blood and that it was all going to be okay sooner or later. I heard the father this morning come on the air and talk about how uh, that the father of Carmelo Anthony, that his boy has been treated unfairly, and that they, as a family, have got to stick together and make this right or this wrong or right. And I'm thinking, what universe are we living on? We're living on. We're involved in this Hannah Dillard case, and we're going to be fighting it. Matter of fact, I start a 4-part series next week about where we are with this Hannah Dillard case. And I say the same thing about our judicial system here. What where the judicial system there did things right, in my view, and the jury here, uh, it's the opposite. And so it's just I don't know what it's going to take for America to be calibrated such that we do things right.
And it was so much irony when we do our Substack columns. Scott picks a topic. 90% of the time, I can write a poem about that. The other 10, I'll just throw in something I've already written. In this case, as I'm writing tomorrow's Substack about redemption is essential to a life well read. I wrote that yesterday, and then this morning I thought to myself, but here's a weird analogy. Probably the biggest murder case that's happened in DFW since this one was in 2019 when Amber Geiger,
Yeah.
the policewoman, killed Botham Jean, who was on his couch eating ice cream because she went in the wrong apartment and shot him. And after they convicted her, Botham's brother Brandt comes up with a victim statement, and he basically says, "I forgive you.
Yeah.
I forgive you." And there's no forgiveness. There's no forgiveness at all in any of this.
Yeah, I've never heard anybody on the Carmelo and Anthony side say anything close to that
Right?
Carmelo was wrong. Sammy, let's play I want to hear these 2 videos before we close out and let our viewers hear it.
Let's go.
Yes.
Oh, this is tremendous.
Watching this whole thing. Listen.
If evidence does come out that Carmelo was not in fact fighting for his life when he stabbed and killed Austin Metcalf, do you think that the black community will accept that?
If evidence shows that he did not, no, we're going to stand by ours regardless. They stand by theirs. We're going to stand by ours regardless. I'm a mother first. I'm a black mother. Let me put that on there. I'm an African-American mother. So I have to put away my color first and step into the motherhood. Nobody wants to see their child slain. So I do want to send prayers to Austin Metcalf, their family. But at the end of the day, I got to think like, okay, what did you do to him or whatever to cause this to happen, the reaction? We got to start taking accountability for our kids. Because then again, if my kid, that's why it's a catch-22, if my kid was Carmelo and I feel like his back was up against the wall, well, I'm going to tell you straight up, better mine than yours. Better mine than yours. So either way it go, everybody loses. A black boy allegedly murdered, and I say allegedly, heavy on the allegedly murdered somebody. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, this is about race.
The reporter there should have said, "No, I don't know what you're saying." Allegedly, I mean, what more do you need? The guy who did it admitted he did it. He killed Austin Metcalf. So allegedly, she also says, "Yeah, I'll put away color." Well, color is the one thing that you're relying on here to take your position. You got that second one.
It's such a step backwards for our whole country.
It's almost lawlessness. It is lawlessness. This is the second part of not second part. This is the second video I wanted you to hear in this setting.
I come out here every Thursday and we pray for people going to court.
It's a pastor.
Because we know this is the final frontier of racism and it's legalized here.
It was announced yesterday that there's no black jurors that were chosen. What are your thoughts on that?
That's why we need God. That's why we need God, and that's why he's going to show who's in control.
And would you be open to giving us your personal insights into the Carmelo Anthony trial and what your thoughts are on it?
I just want justice done. You know, we know.
Okay, stop.
No.
Okay, stop. So he just wants to, but this is.
You thought that was me saying that, or I thought it was me saying stop. Anyway, so there you have a pastor's view on it, and calling the courthouse the last frontier of racism. It just, I don't, I have hope because God is in charge. It doesn't often feel like that. But then again, God has his plan. We fully trust him, or I know I do. And in this case, I think the pastor is misguided here. But uh, we need God not so that we'll have whites, blacks on a jury. We need God so that we can call a wrong a right, wrong a wrong, and a right a right. The idea that this jury was all white, as Jeff just said earlier, is another falsehood. It's not. There were 4 white people on that jury. The rest were either Asian, Hispanic, or Indian. And so I don't quite understand what this all white nonsense is. And just it's sickening to me. I don't know where we go from here, but I do know that Austin Metcalf is gone and that his parents will never be able to embrace him. I do know that Carmelo Anthony is where he should be for 35 years, or unless he gets his first opportunity of parole is half of that in the state of Texas, as we told you about the Hannah Dillard case, and that's 17 and a half years. So we'll see. But he's in prison, and they filed an appeal. They have 30 days. They have to wait 30 days, but they filed it today or yesterday. Was it yeah, yesterday. And so we go from here.
And I will say this about redemption and forgiveness. I don't hear anybody in, we don't call it the white community because I guess we're already whatever we are. Yeah. I don't hear white people stepping up to say, we all must have forgiveness in our soul to Carmelo. Whatever possessed him to do that, but may he atone for his sin. Da 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 da. I don't see any forgiveness from the white community.
No,
So
I think as we talked about in our church class the past few weeks, there got to be not just white people, but all people have got to
right,
stand up for what's right.
right.
And that's what we're trying to do here. It's certainly what I will spend the balance of my life as I have spent the other, leading up to this point in my life, is regardless of the risks, regardless of the consequences, regardless of whatever, uh, that it's wrong what has happened here, and it needs to stop and be fixed. And here's how it's going to be fixed. So there you have it on Carmelo Anthony. A sad, sad situation, but the jury and the judge got it right, in my opinion. All right,
All right.
all right. Rhyme time. What do we
It's
got?
not too long. Redemption is essential to a life well lived. Redemption provides the giver atonement, a surprising sense of fulfillment. It's amazing that the act of forgiveness fills one's heart with utter happiness. It's the ultimate case of 'tis more sacred to give than to receive. While it can be difficult to achieve, it's an experience hard to believe. Christ's parables were his wonderful way to teach. The homespun stories were his favorite way to preach. With logic and simplicity, his people he did reach. Speaking to a crowd, his message was understood by each. Let's take the tale of the prodigal son, lost to all but the most important one. Returning home from a life of excess and sloth, his father gave him a feast, a ring, and a robe of fine cloth. Similarly, Jesus tells the story of the lost sheep. The shepherd had 100, but lost one. Timelessly he looked until his search was done. On his shoulders he triumphantly carried it like his own son. In our lives, it's best to forgive and forget. Seriously, this is the best feeling you can get. No medicine or cure has beaten it yet. This is no long shot, it's a sure bet. So give it a try. I'll tell you why. You may make someone so happy they may cry. Bring a hanky. You may need it to keep your eyes dry.
Very good. Very, very good.
Thank
All
you.
right. We don't have time to do day in history today, but Sammy, can you cue up the cat video? if we want to put a smile on your face, obviously, I'm going to play that as we go into our signing off. But let me do the true or false. Are y'all ready?
Born
Sammy, you
ready.
ready? Oh, here it is. True or false? One passenger was aboard both the Titanic and its sister ship, Britannic, when they were sunk. True or false? A person was on both those. We've heard a lot about Titanic, obviously, but Britannic was its sister ship when they were sunk. The person was on both of them. One person was on both and survived. That's the other. True or false?
Oh,
I don't even
then
know about the Britannic. I don't. Flip a
all
coin.
right. I'll go false. I think the person sadly passed away the second time.
Second time.
I'll go with your false.
True. Violet Jessup was aboard both ships and survived both disasters.
Wow.
That's a cat with 9 lives, isn't
Yeah,
it?
and here comes a cat that's
A cat
smart.
with
That's smart, and
speaking of, yeah, I didn't even think that.
that's
Speaking
the
of
first
cats,
cat video I ever
here's
liked.
a video that'll make you smile, make you laugh. So setting it up, this is a guy's home. You'll be able to see it because he's chilling in the background watching TV. And these are his 2 cats. And I don't know how long this video is, not very long, but just watch what happens with these cats. And you'll get a kick out of it. All right, Sam.
Did you all see the cat get in the fridge? Can't get in that way. No, not that way.
Two cats playing around. One of them got in the refrigerator, and the other one could have just gone about his business. But he knew his pal was in the in the, in the refrigerator. And you know what? It's sad to say, but I've had friends that, or at least one, I think maybe 2, that lost a pet because it crawled into a cooler,
Okay.
and then the lid shut, and they didn't know where it went, and it passed away. That cat uh, left in there long enough.
Well, yeah.
Could have passed away, and his buddy found him. So there you have it. Thank you for being
As
with
funny
us.
as that was, let's not have a parade of cat videos from here
Heck
on
no,
in.
I don't.
Okay.
Sammy loves cats. I
We
can't
know
deal with
that.
cats.
We
But
know
anyway, thank you for being with us today. We'll be back next Tuesday. We'll have a lot more to talk about and some updates on some things, but we appreciate you being here today.
Thanks to the good folks from Hoosier Meat who
Yes.
sponsor us,
Thank you.
and have a great day and try to put a smile on somebody's face today. Boom.